Did you miss it? That was the one video that the UAP task force has released since last year, since 2021. The other video, the second video they released, had already been out. I've been saying for a year that they're not going to release any actual videos for us, the government that is. There's no benefit to them releasing, and this is what we've seen. So in a full year, the UAP task force, since last June 2021, they have released exactly one video.
There it was. That's, in many cases, that's all that a report may include. And in many other cases, we have far less than this.
Far less. That's all they have, except for those gimbal cases, right? Where they have that video that they won't release. Chris Lato, welcome to Lato Files. So according to Scott Bray, he's deputy director of the UAP task force. This is one of the best videos that they have, right? As he says, they don't have many videos at all. When I first saw this video, I was disappointed. I'm still relatively disappointed in this video, but I have been complaining that they haven't released any videos, when in reality they have released this one. So I woke up this morning and said, man, I need to actually analyze this video, see if we can get any data from it. So that's what this video will be. It's basically an initial analysis of the spherical UFO hearing flyby. And actually I was able to find some pretty cool stuff. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm Chris Lato, retired F18 pilot. Smash that like button if you do like this content. Subscribe to get notifications of when I release videos at least once a week. And then you can support the channel on patreon.com/Chris Lato. Get backstage access and additional videos and posts. High definition version of this from America's Navy website. Released May 17, 2022. It's only 9 seconds. Says here, in an open hearing on unidentified aerial phenomena before the House Intelligence, Counterterrorism, Counterintelligence, and Counterproliferation Subcommittee on May 17, 2022, Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence, Mr. Scott Bray, shared this video of a U.S. naval aviator encounter with an unknown object in a fleeting pass. This video, captured by the pilot in the cockpit of a Navy fighter jet, demonstrates the typical speed at which military aircraft may approach an unknown object. So let's check this out. Boom, that's it. Only 9 seconds, quite fast. I took that high definition video and I put it into Premiere Pro. That's this editing software that I use. First thing we can tell is it's from what looks like an iPhone camera. Okay, I just guessed based off 20 and 19. It's iPhone 11, iPhone 12, in that range. Initially, I didn't think it was an F18, but you'll see through as we go through the video that it is actually an F18 cockpit. I think the pilot actually is filming. Either he's left-handed or he's flying with his right hand, and he's actually filming with his iPhone like this. Okay, it's a center stick, so he could be filming, flying with his left hand and then recording like this. And as it flies by, he will actually aim it like this. So it's probably his right hand, to be honest. He just goes like this, right outside the window, stabilizes, and he's able to capture it. So he did quite a good job, actually, when we actually look at how close he passes to this thing. The pilot did a good job. Next thing I can tell from this is if you look, it's obviously over the ocean. From the altitude, best I can tell is he's in the 20s. Okay, I don't think it's higher than that based on the sky. If you look at the actual sky, it's about the same color as the ocean. And as you get higher in the 30s, what I notice normally from just my experience is that the sky is actually darker than the sea as you're looking out over the horizon. So what happens is as you get higher and higher, the sky gets darker and darker, obviously, till you get to space. So based on this, it's just a guess, just a wag. I can't see much detail from the ocean. There's obviously no land around. I would guess it's around 20,000 feet. Okay, so there's the canopy bow as he turns. Object passes, and then you'll see at the very end here, I'll show you. Okay, it stops here. Okay, so this is the mirrors. You can see the mirror on that they use basically for looking backwards or for aerial fueling. To be honest, we didn't have mirrors in the F-16. We didn't have canopy bows. So we didn't use mirrors. I'm guessing you use it for station keeping, etc. And this is the mirror in the back seat of the F-18. Okay, so that's the back seat canopy bow. So it's an F-18. You can tell here by the curve of the Cobra neck, right? So this is the F-18 wing. You can see it here. And then you can tell it's a D model. It's a two-seat model because there's a canopy bow in the back. Okay, so this is taken from the front seat, so the pilot. And like I said, I think he's probably flying with his left hand, just maintaining station. He's going straight, passing pretty close to this thing, and he uses his iPhone basically to record, and then he goes sideways like this. Okay, he could do it with his left hand, but I think it a little more awkward. So I think that's how it was actually taken. My guess is up the East Coast, but there's nothing really telling us that it's not the West Coast. Okay, so obviously it's difficult to see as this thing goes by. Okay, so what I did is first I leveled it with the horizon. So angled it, he basically angles his phone to capture it. And so I leveled it with the horizon, and now you'll see this thing fly by at 1/20th the speed. Now we'll zoom it in. You're going to get 3 frames. There's the first frame, second frame, third frame, and then it's out of the field of view. Zoomed in again, 200% now. So that's it. Basically, that is the frames that we get. We get 3 frames that you just saw. This is the final frame. There's frame 2, frame 1. So things I noticed initially is, if you notice frame 1 here, is there's no reflection. Okay, there's no reflection yet. The sun, based off the nose of the aircraft, seems to be coming high to the left. You can tell that based off the initial image of the nose of the aircraft. As we pass here, we get to frame 2 now. What you see is now it's reflecting. Okay, so it tells me the sun was from the high. So basically it's like we're going by a window and you see a flash, okay? And this flash you'll see is a circle, basically a reflection off of what I think is the actual object shaped here. And the best image is going to be the third frame, okay? Basically here. So this stays about the same size, and then the actual object gets slightly bigger. Okay, I noticed a 30% increase in size from here to here. Okay, so in order to determine how far away this thing is, I assume that it's stationary. Okay, so the object is not moving, and I will assume that the F-18 is going normal speeds. All the other engagements I saw is the fighters go, at least F-18 fighters go around 250 knots at altitude. This equates to about 0.5 indicated Mach number. So 250 knots down at sea level is very different from 250 knots up at 20,000 feet. Okay, it's much faster, right? Based on the air pressure, there's half as much air at 18,000 feet. So pilots use Mach number. So in this 250 knots equates to around 0.5 Mach number, right? 1.0 is the speed of sound. So 0.5 is half the speed of sound. Why do we use this as pilots? Makes it much, much easier. So this equates to 5 nautical miles per minute. Okay, so 5 nautical miles, 6,000 feet per mile. That's 30,000 feet every 60 seconds. That equals 500 feet per second. Okay, so 500 feet per second. But like we saw, is each one of these frames, right? There's only 3 frames. There's 30 frames per second in an average iPhone camera. Okay, so that is the normal default setting. Okay, so if we assume that the fighters are going 0.5 Mach, the object is stationary, then it goes 17 feet. The aircraft is actually traveling 17 feet every frame, okay, at that airspeed. So in between here, between frame 1 and frame 2, and between frame 2 and frame 3 is going to be 17 feet. So we can measure the distance and size, right? So I know the size of the object here. I can just measure it on the screen between frame 1. Frame 2, it gets a little bit larger, about 10%. And then frame 3 here, it's 30% larger than frame 1. We can also measure the distances between these two, right? Initially, I measured 8 centimeters on my screen between there, and then I measured 9.5 centimeters on there, okay, which makes sense if the object's stationary and the aircraft is traveling past it at a high rate of speed. Now, if we plug that in, so that information into GeoGebra. GeoGebra is a handy online math and geometry program. Mick West showed me how to do this. So here we have frame 1 to frame 2. Okay, this is now 17 feet, like I mentioned, because that's how fast the aircraft is going. Okay, so 17 feet, 17 feet, 17 feet, constant speed. So now, how do we know how far away it actually is? Okay, based on the ratio, okay, if these are held 17, 17, 17, okay, and then based on the field of view of an iPhone camera, now we can determine actual angle. So I know the distance here, but then I need to know actually what is the actual angular resolution of this. For that, we can use the angular field of view of an iPhone, okay? It's not confirmed that it's an iPhone, but I'm assuming that it's standard within reason. I can approximate within an iPhone, okay? So this is an iPhone 13 Pro Max, okay? But looking back, iPhone 6 had 1.1 radians, okay? So this is your video, right? You see, this is your normal video setting, assuming it's not zoomed in, etc. Is 1.132 radians for your iPhone 13. iPhone 6 had 1.1 radians. So I'm assuming it's around 1.1 radians. Okay, that's this direction, right? But he's filming like this. Okay, so what is the actual distance here? I measured that is at 0.49, etc. radians. So we will approximate again to 0.5 radians. So it's basically 0.5 radians across here and 1.1 approximate radians north-south. What does that approximate to in degrees? That is 28.7 degrees across. So if we go back here, from here to here, right, perpendicular is 28 degrees. Okay, but if you look here now, this is going this way. Okay, so it's slightly angled as we go across. So what did I measure there? How far does it actually go? From here back to the beginning, 21 degrees. Okay, 21 degrees. Using the iPhone field of view, which is pretty standard, I think. Okay, if we go back to our GeoGebra now, check this out. So what I did is made all those the same, and now if I move this, okay, if we go, let's say it is 60 feet away, this object passes 60 feet away, we show 25 degrees, okay? If the object is 100, again, we got to keep this correct, it's got to be 50 feet, right? If the object's 100 feet away, it's 17.8 degrees. Okay, so based on what I measured, the actual angle that it travels, you're looking at about around 80 feet. So this thing is only 80 feet away. It passes 80 feet away. That's quite close. Quite close. Okay, so if it's 80 feet away, all right, at its closest point, now how large is this thing? Okay, so if we measure, okay, that distance right there is 17 feet, and you take into account different angles. Measure here, this thing measures around 2.5 feet. Okay, I have it a little bit over 2 feet. Approximate 2 to 3 feet. So this sphere, or whatever this thing is, looks to me like some sort of reflective, spherical shaped object, is around 2.5 feet across, and is reflective. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's a balloon, right? It's obviously a balloon. Of course. That's what everybody says. That's what all the comments are probably going to say. Even before I posted it, I bet the comments say, this is obviously a balloon, okay? And yeah, anything can be a balloon, essentially, right? I can make a balloon shaped like an F18, have it float around, take a picture, and be like, it's a balloon. Well, it would be a balloon in that case. But now here's the $1 million question, and this really is the $1 million question. Was this thing stationary in the winds? And that's the $1 million question, right? Because right away, if anything can be proven stationary in winds or in high winds, your balloon theory goes right out the window, okay? It goes straight out the window. And that's what they've been seeing off the East Coast, is that these things are stationary in high winds. So if this pilot came around again and there's any winds in there and he can tell by his GPS that it's in the exact same location, man, that is very, very compelling. Super compelling. So that's that one key piece of information that we're missing right here is, was this thing stationary in high winds? And that would change the whole game. That would rule out balloon, which is the obvious answer here. And that would show that it's a true UAP. Again, why would the Navy put this out if they were just doing a high-speed pass against a balloon? I'm assuming they can do another pass. This wasn't the first pass. Okay, he approaches this thing very close. It's very straight on. And he was able to take the video, all right, a difficult video to capture. So I don't think this is his first pass for sure. I think it's probably he did multiple passes on this thing. And my question would be, did it move? If it didn't move in the winds, man, that is very, very compelling. So now what could this thing even be? Okay, there have been other orbs in the news lately. If you saw our recent interview on UAP Society YouTube, you saw Ross Coulthart. His new documentary has a metal sphere.
This thing for over 40 years, it's a part of me now. I've taken it with me everywhere I go, and I can't explain that.
You reckon it's been looking after you, don't you?
Sometimes I feel like it's protected me. There was just a pile of them. And I was amazed, because I'd never seen anything like these, and I thought, what the heck is that? And he said, I'd tell you, but you wouldn't believe me. And I said, well, try me. And he said, well, Jim, I swear to God, a UFO came over my house and dropped these out in my yard. He said, they've been sitting there ever since. And I was amazed at them, and he said, do you want one? You can have one. So I took it. Well, I've had it for over 40 years, so I've seen it do some things that I can't explain.
Okay. And we have our own metal sphere. UAP Society member Iswascan, John, has a metal sphere that he's had for decades. And he wants to know what it is. So if anyone can help us determine what this thing is, let us know right in the comments or come to UAP Society Discord. We want to track this thing down, get it analyzed. He lives in southern Georgia, around those parts. So if anyone can help us out in this regard, let us know in the comments or come to UAP Society Discord. We want to track this thing down and figure out what it is. There's theories out there. I know Patrick Jackson has proposed a theory that these metal spheres are actually alien probes that are doing some sort of observation. What do you guys think? Man, crazy stuff. But that is, I mean, imagine these orbs or these steel balls. Now, we have actual materials supposedly coming from UFOs that we can start to analyze. So let's figure out how to analyze it. Thanks for being here. Smash that like button. Subscribe for future videos. Support the channel on patreon.com/Chris Lato. Like I mentioned, if you can help out with this steel sphere that Iswascan has, that would be a great help. Come to UAP Society Discord, and we'll see you there. Have a great week. Peace.